Hope here at Crafty Hope, and welcome. I'm going to do a little bit of play. I have made, you can see a selection of cardboard tags. I sent some to Nina as part of, or Nina Fickett at Nina Fickett Designs, as part of our Advent swap that we did back in December. This is my original ones, and y'all look, the holes were all kinds of wonky, so I fixed those for Nina, and I did print out some of those, but I added 2 more because what I sent Nina were 10 of them, and I decided an even dozen sounded more fun. So I've got a whole collection of them that are different sizes. There's 3 different types. There are these with the rounded tops, these with the beveling on all the corners, and then these that, nope, that's not it. Nope. Oh my gosh. These that have the beveling here, but it's more intense, and then like the flat regular corners there. So yeah, I've been playing with these. I realized that grommets could be really fun to put in them, so I've made the holes in my newest ones conducive for holes, as well as I've made some that don't have holes at all for anybody that wants to punch their own holes. So that's my general idea. So I'm putting these in my Etsy shop. I currently have 4 sets with holes, 4 sets without. Like I said, it's a dozen of them. Some of them though, of course, I am recycling packaging that comes into my possession. So I'll have to admit that, you know, sometimes boxes have things printed on them. Sometimes they are a little bit dented and worn. Sometimes the corrugation goes one way. Sometimes where the tape is, it's torn. But that's kind of the fun of cardboard, is that you can do whatever you want with it. So I wanted to play with these, and that's why I printed up a bunch of these, because I wanted to play with mine, and I thought, oh my gosh, if I do this, somebody else might want some. So I thought I'll go ahead and make some and toss them into the shop, and then, you know, and if they sell out, I may make some more, because I'm sure we have more packaging that I can make some more. So y'all let me know what you think. If you, also I'd love some feedback. If you think some different sizes would be a good idea, or yeah, what you think of these. So I'm going to pick out one of these to work with. And like I said, the ones in this set I'm working with, the holes are still kind of large because I hadn't realized that people may all want. So the ones that, my new versions, they are 0.18 of an inch, which I believe is about 3/16 of an inch, which is what some, and I think this grommet is 1/8 of an inch. So it can be a variety of grommet sizes, I think. I don't know. Y'all, that's why I printed out the set that doesn't have holes, so you can punch your own if you want. Because you should be able to use like a crocodile or a regular hole punch or whatever it is you use to punch holes to do that. But if you don't have one of those and don't mind just empty holes, then, you know, the holed ones might be good for you. Let me know if you think the bigger weird holes are fine. I'm sure I can make more with big weird holes. Okay, let me play with these tags. I'm gonna grab one of these, and yeah, I'm gonna go for it. Y'all, tacking this on at the suggestion of Nina, I thought I'd share with you how these will come to you packaged. I've created little envelopes basically out of some architectural like blueprints or floor plan drawings that I just picked up at an estate sale. So I thought they were a great way to make like an envelope. I've stitched them and secured them with washi tape tied up. You'll get a little packet of happy here, and on the front I've attached a little thank you tag, also made out of cardboard. So these packets basically come like this, and your tags will be in here folded up, ready to go. So you'll have lots of little things that you can use in addition to the tags. So that's that. All right. I also thought that I would share with you how easy it is to make the holes in the ones that don't have holes if you're interested. Again, this is just cardboard. If you have a crocodile, that probably works even better, but this is just a regular regular hole punch from the dollar store or something. And you can just figure out where you want your holes. Like so. Punch through. Just like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, and that was, the lines on this one run this way to the tag, and these are vertical here, so horizontal and vertical. So we'll do it as well here. So a reminder that, you know, these are all just made however, so yours could run either direction. I have some control over that, but I like the surprise of it. That's the same with these envelopes I made, because I am using recycled, upcycled, found materials. Some of them have little rips and tears in them, and I think that's the fun of using vintage papers, but I just want to give you a heads up before you get it. If yours has a little tear and I've washi on it or something like that, just know that this is, basically I got these because I thought the paper was neat, and I'm using it because it needs to be used and not just thrown away. So that's, yeah. I hope you like these as much as I think they are fun. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions, any ideas, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I honestly had no plan for what I was going to do with these other than just play. So I'm going to end up making 2 complete tags. So this first one, I threw on some walnut ink on there. I made from walnut crystals and added water. It's in a dropper. And then I added some water to it with a big brush. Now I'm going to tell you that that big brush was sitting in water that was diluted with gesso, because I had gessoed a bunch of stuff, and yeah, so it was very milky water. It's yeah, the brush, I don't know, you can't really, it's in the upper left, but it's not the one you can see. It's the very top. It's like completely white. So it's like really milky. So it gave it a weird effect that I kind of want to play with. But in any case, I then grabbed my regular gesso, made some marks on it, and then used my Dollar Tree rollerball pen that bleeds to go around a couple of the circles. I am trying to get that to do its drippy, blendy thing that it does, but the cardboard is very absorbent, and so it's not really doing that. So I have found that that effect really is on paper that is like gessoed or really thick or something like that. So anything that's super absorbent, that effect just doesn't happen. I did splatter some water or gesso-y water on there and then picked that up and dried the whole thing. Now, I knew one of the benefits of playing with these cardboard tags, besides them being super sturdy, is that you can tear them down and get to that like corrugated back. And I really love that grungy effect. So that was the main thing I really wanted to try on here. So I am pulling some of this back. Y'all, it's so weird. On my next one, I'll do some collage, but I didn't even bother collaging with this one, which I think is crazy, because collage is almost always my first step. But I think I was so anxious to actually like tear into this, I didn't even think about it. I am adding a little bit of walnut stain distress oxide there, and I will activate it with the less gessoed water I've got sitting there. Y'all, in my next one, I think I went and got some actual clean water. So I did go around a lot of this. Mostly I went over where those corrugated like lumps are, and then I decided I needed a bit more of that white gesso at the bottom along with that drippy pen. So yeah, I added both of those things, and I didn't try to re-wet that drippy pen. I found that because the gesso was so wet, adding the pen straight onto the wet cardboard made it bleed a little bit. And for some reason, when I envisioned this, I did not envision using color, but I was like, you know what, I want to have color. So I grabbed this Lindy's spray in Tibetan Poppy Teal. It's one of my favorite colors, and sprayed it in a couple spots, and also wet it with a bit of just my distress sprayer. Now, the real thing I wanted to do was use some crackle paste. This is the Ranger Opaque Crackle Paste, and I'm using a palette knife to spread it, making sure, especially where I have torn and exposed that corrugation. I kept seeing that in my mind, y'all, when I was thinking about making these or playing with these tags. So I made sure I got that in a couple parts. I will have to walk away from this for a bit because crackle paste does best if you let it dry naturally and not with a heat tool. So I thought I was done there for a second. I looked at it and I decided no, I wanted a little bit more in that upper right. So I am going to add that up there. Now what's funny is because this is a craft paper color, that Tibetan poppy teal, which is a beautiful blue, when it dries, it has come out a bit more green. And I'm sure that's because of the brown of that. Yeah, you can see it's kind of greenish, the brown of the craft paper. So it's the cardboard. It's something I have to get used to, but it's great. If I had gessoed the whole thing to start with before I dug into it, oh, that may be my next one. Oh, that could be a lot of fun to gesso it and prep it in some way and see what happens. Yeah, that's going to be super awesome. Okay, so I've come back and I've got a Tim Holtz photo strip picture here that I've cut down and framed it out, but then I'm using the side of my scissors to distress it. You could use some other distressing tool if you wanted. I didn't want to go digging for mine. I was having so much fun with this. So I distressed her edges. I'm gonna at the corners kind of pick at her a little bit. So I'm adding walnut stain distress ink. Here I'm picking at the corners and tearing them and kind of, because I really hate a straight edge and a blunt corner, like a pokey corner. So, and that's just my style. So I am playing with her. And for some reason, I was like, you know what? I've got these. There are two in the set that I've made that do not have the what did I say? The 0.18 of an inch 0.18 inch holes. There are two of them that are too small for them, and so this is one of them, and I thought, well, it would be neat as an accent on this tag. So I took the corrugation off completely and decided it would be a great way to lift up the photo booth I'm using. So like I did with some of the other corrugation, I used the Distress Oxide and Walnut Stain to darken it just a little bit. And I keep moving around. I keep trying to decide if I wanted to use the whole or not, or just have this as an accent to lift it to have that corrugation, to have the texture. So, and for some reason, I just felt like it wasn't feeling feminine quite enough. So I've got it's the ephemera pack. I think it's Field Notes. That's got the aged looking things in it. And I grabbed this little flower. It looks like a bit of a wildflower to put on the side of the photo booth picture. Yeah. And so I'm going to futz with this for quite a bit, trying to decide what it was that, how I wanted to lay this out, if I wanted to put it behind her, if I wanted to cover up that hole. Because I kept thinking maybe I would put some kind of fabric or lace or something in that hole. It felt, So what I decided to do was get this tiny little square of frayed fabric in my satchel. I don't even know what it's from. I was hoping to find more of it to use as the ribbon at the top of the tag, but I was like, I don't know what I'm digging through it now, and I was like, I don't know what it was. So I'm tapping my fingers thinking, realizing that I need to do something with the top of this tag a little bit. I did find, that's a piece of a napkin I had torn down and was like, oh, well, that could make a neat lacing on there. So I decided, let's go ahead and just start sticking things together. And my wood glue was sitting there on my desk. So I was like, I can use that to glue the cardboard down. But then I was like, well, that's not really what I want for everything else. I want to use my Fabri-Tac. So because the Fabri-Tac sticks a little bit faster, whereas the wood glue, while it does stick pretty quickly, it's not as fast as the Fabri-Tac. And I, of course, could have used a glue stick also, or some other matte medium. All right, so I'm using the Fabri-Tac to stick on that little bit of frayed fabric, and then that Field Note piece, the wildflower, and I think then I'm going to go ahead and stick on that. And from there, I know I need a sentiment along with, I want to add that bit of, whatchamacallit, it was, like I said, it's a fabric napkin that I had torn the edging off. That is kind of, it's a lace, but it's very boxy lace. And I knew that what I had there was too much. I'm going to cut it in half, and the thinner piece, I'm going to fold it in half and insert that loop on one end through it, and then the ends through the loop. So that makes a lark's head knot. Yeah, it's pretty, yeah. And then I went and picked out a sentiment. This is an old set that I picked up, I think, at Tuesday Morning ages ago. And it's a sentiment that says, remember the wonderful parts. And it just seemed right. So I'm going to cut it down so it'll fit better on my cardboard tag. But first I'm going to ink the edges, just like everything else got inked with that Distress ink in walnut stain. It's my favorite. There's something about it. I think it's the brown that feels grungy and old, and I love that. And with most stickers, because I am working on a textured surface, I am going to add a little more glue. So I've got my Oohoo glue stick to stick this down. And I think I recently watched something from Tim Holtz that said if you ever have like anything on your fingers, or you put your fingers on the back of one of your stickers like that, you are removing some of the stick. And y'all, I don't know how to work with the sticker without putting it on my finger in some way. So I think forever and ever now I'm going to have to use additional glue with stickers because I can't help but touch them. So all right, so I think that is about it for this tag. I'm going to give y'all a quick look at it. I might darken the edges of it a little bit more. No, I'm going to go straight in with one of the other tags. So this is one of the ones with the squared bottom and the more intense angle at the top. And like I said, I didn't do any collage on the other one. So I was like, okay, we're going to collage on this one because the cardboard it's just paper. So it's easy to just stick something down on, and it's not glossy or anything like that. And I am using, I think this is some old ledger paper. So it's kind of thick in some weird way. And I'm using my Oohoo glue stick, and it does a really good job of sticking it down. I think I cover most of this tag with some kind of, collage. This is some dictionary paper that was on there, and I'll get a couple pieces of it down, and then I find a piece of matte paper to go in. Now, I will say that one of the harder things with using a tag with a hole on it is that working around that hole. So, that's, I guess, one of the benefits of getting one of the ones that doesn't have a hole punched in it. But that's what I meant to do, was to work with, I'll have to do another set and work with maybe some of the ones that don't have holes, or with putting holes in some of the ones that do. And so we can see how those punch. Because I haven't really tried that. So I really should do that. Okay, so I've got my collage down. I decided I wanted to add a bit more color to this one, so I'm using my favorite sea glass paint from Americana. I've got it a bit watered down there, and I was trying to cover up like the areas that weren't collaged on, and I realized it was soaking into that cardboard quite a bit, so I didn't need it so watered down. So I'm using my finger that won't be watered down like a paintbrush will and painting straight on to this tag. Okay, so once I get that done, I've got a little bit of gesso still left in my palette there, and I've got that palette knife, and I don't even remember what I had that gesso out for. Oh, that's when I made the marks on the other one. That's what it was. So I'm using that same palette knife and just kind of scraping the gesso around on there. And then I'll dry it real quick and come in with one of my hand carved stamps and some Distress Oxide in Abandoned Coral. It's one of my favorite colors, especially for some reason with like that sea glassy color, like a blue green and this coral are always so yummy together. I don't I don't know what it is, like the cracked pistachio and this coral. I love those colors together. And it's so weird because I don't normally like pinks and oranges, but I like this coral. So, all right, I made those stamps, and as is my MO, I did go get some clean water. I am going to blur the edges of the Distress Oxide. I love how it bleeds, and I love how, especially with some of my hand carved stands in particular, they have that there's like layers to them. There's usually a couple layers, and so the inside of them becomes more prominent when the outside is blurred for some reason. Yeah, I'm hoping you can see that in the close-up photos. So I did stamp that stamp pad onto some acetate so I can pick up some of that same color and splatter it on the tag. And I think then, yeah, I'm going to clean all this up real quick and then dry it. And I'm going to say I've got pictures of this at the end. I may have gone overboard with the pictures because I just took a lot of them, mostly because when I took the first set of pictures, for some reason they didn't save to my card for my camera, and I had to do it again. So I was like, oh Lord, I'm gonna just take some more. And I took a lot and then couldn't decide which ones I liked. All right, that is some dried up instant coffee that I reconstituted with water, and I'm painting my card. I tend to just do really random painting and then a bit of splatter, just like I added that abandoned coral splatter. I added a bit of coffee splatter also. And I grabbed my chunky pencil and did some scribbles on there to add a bit more movement. And then I decided I didn't like the instant coffee is a lot like the distress products. It will reactivate. So where some of it felt too intense and didn't blend the way I like, I'm using a wet paintbrush to kind of blend it out a bit more. And I'll dry it. And then I'm going to come in. I felt like it needed a little bit more dark, not a whole lot, just a little bit. So I'm using a Posca paint pen and making little lines of dots on this tag. Like I said, I just wanted something a little bit darker. This is still, I could have splattered. I could have done some other marks. I could have done just about anything, but I don't know. These little dots felt like the right thing. All right, I'm going to let them dry real quick. I think I actually, and I'm going to futz with some things that are on my desk. I had a little bit of lace from one of my 100-day projects I was working on. I thought about peeling it up like I did to expose the corrugation, but this was feeling so sweet that I didn't want to add that bit of grunge. Instead, I was like, well, let me play with this little bit of lace. And y'all, it's so old, it just tears with my fingers. I don't know. It has made it a bit too precious, but that's why I'm using it in my 100-day project, which is a not precious project. And I grabbed some more Tim Holtz products. That is the paper dolls. And I've got this cute little girl holding a ball and decided I would make her a little bit of sidewalk of lace. Or I don't know, maybe it's grass or a field. I don't know. I am going to ink her edges with more of that walnut stain distress ink. And I wish I had inked her, done a little bit more work with her, because I could see later that I hadn't inked her as well. But I was getting anxious to finish this. It was getting on about dinner time, and I was itching to kind of get to that. And y'all, I'll admit, I went back and forth about how I wanted to color her to give her a bit of pop, and I do not have any abandoned coral like crayons or pencils or markers or anything, but I did just pick up this roller ball from the Dollar Tree, and it's that same kind of one that I tried to ink blend earlier that didn't work, but I found this one, I got it. It's in my last thrift haul, one of my latest thrift hauls, and I picked it up at the Dollar Tree, and it's in coral. And so I thought, okay, we're going to see if I can get it to bleed on this paper doll. And it did. It worked. And it's not super bright or in your face, but I don't really want it to be. I kind of want it to just be lightly like colorized like they did with some of the old movies. Just to add a touch of color. And yeah, you see me, I'm like, it's okay. So, but it was better. I just wanted a little bit of that coral on her. And I'm sorry, my head keeps getting in this. I think my camera got knocked, and so it moved back, and I keep leaning over it. Now, I have an obsession with buttons and have lots of them. That is just one of my many jars of buttons there. And I decided it would be really sweet to add a button to this card with that little girl. I don't, again, I think there's something kind of feminine about it. So, all right, so I'm going to start gluing again. I'm using the Fabri-Tac, and I'm going to put, it looks like I'm going to put it straight on the card instead of trying to put it on that very brittle lace. So I put it on my tag and patted it down, and then I will put the Fabri-Tac on the back of that paper doll. And I realized there that I hadn't dried that paper doll after adding all that water to it, and so I was like, oh no, I probably just smudged all of that off, but it's okay, it did fine. And I will use a bit of, I think it's some crochet thread that I happen to have in my pin cushion. I'm just going to tie a knot in the end of real quick. And I'm going to hold my button where I want it and go in through one of the holes to poke through the back of the cardboard, and then use that as a guide of where I want to go in, and then go across. And then again, I'm going to go from the front to poke through the back, and then go from the back through the front, and then make that crisscross there, because this is a 4-hole button that I used. And I'm not gonna cut that or tie it off quite yet. I'm gonna look at it for a little bit, trying to decide what it is I want to do. And I decided she needed a bit of shadow, and this I'm gonna futz with for way too long. I'm using a Stabilo all pencil in black, and I went around her really, really, really lightly because I didn't want a whole lot of darkness. Y'all, that head, I am so sorry it is in there. I don't know why. I think I need to zoom this camera in or lower my camera stand so that it's not so high above my desk. So I'm futzing with getting, and I'm only doing the shadow like on the underneath and the right of her. So like her shoulder would be, the sun would be over her left shoulder, well, her right shoulder, looking at her our left. Anyway, just giving her a little bit of shadow, and I'm futzing. I had the wrong paintbrush for a while, and yeah, so I'm adding that. I do not add any fiber to the top of this, but I felt like it would be like a great element maybe in an art journal page, and maybe it doesn't need that on there, or maybe I would wait to see what I did in that page before I add that. So I go ahead and tie that off, and then I've got the Tim Holtz clippings, and I found that Life is Full of Beauty sticker that I will cut down. And just like the other one, I don't even ink this one. No, because I'm going to use some more of that black Stabilo all on it. I think I do. Yep, I am going to add the Uhu because I did put it on my fingers and lose all the sticky. So I'll stick that down and then use my Stabilo all underneath both lines of that to finish it off. And that will be the end of this tag. So like I said, if you are interested in these, I'm hoping to get these in my Etsy shop. Hopefully if I've got this video up that I have done that. And if I haven't, contact me and let me know that you're interested. And if you have like certain sizes that you would like, it's easy enough for me to cut this. I know I said printed before. I'm using a laser cutter to cut these down. So if you have certain sizes or a certain number or something like that, I'm also thinking of maybe doing some ATC sized ones as well. Just let me know. Because, it's fun for me to play with this, and I do like to share with everybody else. So, all right, enjoy this. If you like this, make sure you give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and y'all, I will see y'all later with more, mixed media awesome. All right, bye.